to the point they're now underrated, right? But just running for running's sake is crap.
Right.
And nobody runs their way to a championship, okay? They don't do it. I'm fine with this pursuit that they went down the road of, okay, we're going to steal all these bases, but they're not really doing it. Okay?
Right, as Curtis says, the only time they score runs is when they hit the ball over the wall.
Yes.
Which is the way the game is played right now. But it's
frankly the way the game has always been played.
They're like 12th in home runs, I think.
It's always been played that way.
The 4 games in which they've had at least 10 runs, they've hit 7 home runs and stolen 4 bases. And we looked earlier this week, in the games, there have been 7 games which they've hit 3 home runs. They're 4-3. There have been 6 games in which they have 3 stolen bases. They're 1-5. So even when they're doing what they want to do, they are winning.
Because it's just advancing a base. You somebody to hit the ball.
Well, it's a
one
run.
Don't steal home anymore.
It's a one-run strategy generally.
Yes.
And big innings win games. Yeah, so it's
getting that a stolen base.
In 1999, Ryan Lefever's first year calling Royals games, he said, "My college coach told me a long time ago, in every game you look at the box score, and almost every game you look at the box score, and the team that loses, their total runs will be less than whatever the biggest inning of the team that wins is."
If it's
8-3, they had a 4-run inning.
I think it's actually over 50% of the games in baseball. The team scores more runs in one inning.
That was 20 years ago. That dynamic.
Of course, that was 1999. That was a huge run scoring time.
It was, but I mean, and he's talking about having heard it 10 years before that. That is the reality of the sport.
It was even like Earl Weaver back in the 70s, pitching in 3-run homers.
Yes.
It's hard to lose a game when you hit a 3-run homer. I mean, you can.
It is.
You can, but, 3-run homer is a big deal.
Yes. Yeah. It's nice to be able to get those tack-on runs with a get them over, steal third, and sack them in. That's nice, but that's what they are. It's a one-run strategy.
Like I said, how many times have you seen a team score 3 or 4 runs in an inning and go, wow, that stolen base was big? Never.
Right.
It's generally meaningless unless it keeps you out of a potential double play. Like a guy, next guy hits a ground ball to second, but even on that, that whole A follows B, so C would have happened or whatever thing doesn't necessarily fly with me, but it's just a thing that happened. You score 3 or 4 runs because guys hit doubles and triples and homers.
We'll take a break. Danny Clinkscale with us. It's Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
All right, we're talking to Danny Clinkscale, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Commercial, residential roofing. Easton has got you covered 4 straight years. Best of Houses, Angie's List Super Service Award winner as well. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards and PayPal are accepted. Call Joe and his team at 913-257-5426 or go online to eastonroofing.com.
Sponsors of today's Kansas City Profiles.
Which is who?
Today, it is actually a
DannyClinkscale.com.
profile of one of the few intact families that survived the Titanic.
Really?
And there's a display on that at Park University. So I interviewed the archivist at Park University. Fascinating discussion, at least to me, about history of the Titanic and this family that the 2 graduates from Park University
Very cool.
survived the Titanic.
That's
so
awesome.
It's kind of a fun story.
DannyClinkscale.com. So what's your rub with, like my rub with parody is that in a quest for parody, we've created dynasties.
Well, I think that in the end, I'm not so sure that people really want parity.
They definitely don't.
They say they want it, and the only sport that really tries for it is the National Football League, and they still don't get it.
No, because they've created a system where the smart guy wins.
Right, and we've seen a situation, I'm just looking right here at ESPN, and at the top there's tennis scores from today. And who's winning their matches today at the French Open? Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, who've been the two best players in tennis for years. Now, tennis is a little more understandable.
Djokovic in there is 10 years.
You've got to beat a person head-to-head. So,
right.
I mean, that makes it more difficult. Like in golf, you just have to beat the field, the golf course, whatever. So that's a little more understandable. But the Royals are really in this century, one of the real exceptions to, in our major sports, to the fact that the same teams win all the time. And the only sport that really creates great postseason excitement, per se, surprises, is the least favorite sport, and that's hockey, where teams that are the 7th and 8th seeds make the finals or win the Stanley Cup.
And why is it? Because I'll tell you what my theory is.
I don't know why it is, but
I'll give you mine.
I think in some sports it's clear that it's just the way they want it, and there's no free agency. Like in world soccer, in every league just about, there's 2 or 3 or 4 teams that dominate every year because they totally outspend everybody else. And like in the Premier League, they talk about going for 7th place for the other teams because the top 6 are going to be reserved for the 6 highest spending teams. In Spain, it's Real Madrid every year, in Barcelona. So but
the salary cap hasn't kept us away from dynasties.
No,
right?
It's not. It hasn't.
And there's a diet salary cap in Major League Baseball with the luxury tax because the Yankees and the Dodgers and those teams have made moves based upon getting below it. So it does hinder them and make them make decisions that they wouldn't otherwise make. They've got enough money to keep spending, but they're not going to spend it for everybody else.
I think they can maintain. For instance, the Astros are really good right now because they did an incredible job of drafting good players.
And trading.
But also, now they're going to be able to maintain it because they're a big market team that sells a lot of tickets, and they got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to sign these guys, too. Now, Tampa, they don't draw flies down there. They've they've produced all these great players, and they have to keep giving them away. But they retooled. I mean, that's the most amazing organization in sports.
I agree.
I mean, they have no money, they have no fans, they have no home advantage, and they win all the time.
I think, listen, I look at football and say that football wants parity. In reality, what they've done is created rules that celebrate the quarterback and the star. And if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win consistently. Then they run around banging these cymbals every year like, oh, it's the 22nd time in 23 years that a team has gone from worst to first. Yes, in an ass division with no quarterbacks, or the quarterback in that division got hurt.
And got their head handed to them in the first round.
Yes. They provide said opponent for the teams that actually have a chance to win. We've been that team for 40 years.
What makes me think about it, too, is the NBA is so successful now and growing, and the young people love it. And it is the most predictable sport, period. And it has been for years and years and years. The high seeds are making the finals and winning the championship for 30 years now. And everybody's, the excitement of the playoffs. Bull! People like the NBA because they like watching the individual play. It's almost like they don't care who wins. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Because, we know who's going to win, and the bad teams just suck year after year after year after year after year. But the league can survive with New York and L.A. being terrible. That's amazing.
The NBA is the NFL, except for you got to get 3 quarterbacks.
Right.
And once you get 3 quarterbacks, then you will kick ass. Heretofore, till the quarterbacks.
That doesn't mean you don't have to make good decisions and fill in with really, the Andre Iguodalas of the world.
The riddle of the NBA was cracked when the Heat stripped everything down for 3 guys, made the finals that year, then won it the next 2, and should have won it the 4th year with that squad. I mean, that's it. It's over. It's like, we get it. Pile up stars, and everybody wants to go play on a good team, wants to play with good teammates.
Right.
I mean, you pick the worst team at the pickup game at the gym. Oh, look, you 4 fat asses. Come on. let's go run some full court here. No. You try to get on the good team so you can stay on the floor and keep playing.
That's right.
The last NBA title winner that wasn't a 1 or a 2 seed was 2011. It was Dallas, and they were 3.
Right. It's
the
so
top teams.
So
and
predictable.
they caught the heat with nobody around the big 3.
Right.
All right, team. We got to run. Great stuff, buddy.
Bye-bye. DannyKlingSkill.com.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.